6 minutes after.
Recording is in progress.
So, thank you, Andrew, and we will start our 51st IGU Summit here. And let me just get my desk prepared a little bit, but I start, as always, these sessions every week by saying a land acknowledgement. So we begin today by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples. We recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We are grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources, and we are committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on here in the Greater Toronto Area is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, and is now home to many diverse peoples. We would also like to acknowledge the land we're on is at the meeting place of two treaties, the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and those of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty. We thank them and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us. We also acknowledge and recognize all of the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. So today, I am not seeing our guest speaker, but I will go through the regular opening. I've been told by our host that we have a little bit of a shortened schedule today, so I will try to go through as fast as I can. I want to as well go through the upcoming events. So events coming up are Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. That is Global Parents Day. Again, in the chat, you'll see the information. Global Day of Parents provides an opportunity to appreciate all parents in all parts of the world for their selfless commitment to children and their lifelong sacrifice toward nurturing this relationship. This observance recognizes parents as vital in providing protection and positive development for their children. And of course, we cannot forget our 2022 Ad Hoc International Advisory Board UnityNet Abraham Project Tree Planting. The globally coordinated event takes place on Sunday, June 5th, 2022, starting at whatever hour the local residents choose, even though the Eventbrite says 12 noon. So again, I put the link in the chat. Also coming up, it's our third Key Diplomacy Initiative event. This isn't yet published on Eventbrite, but is almost ready to do so. The event takes place Saturday, June 18th, 2022, starting at 8 a.m. We do it on June 18th because that is Sustainable Gastronomy Day, which you will find again in the chat. Where Sustainable Gastronomy Day emphasizes the need to focus the world's attention on the role that sustainable gastronomy can play. It also reaffirms that all cultures and civilizations are contributors and crucial enablers of sustainable development. The UN General Assembly adopted this on 21st December 2016. So we are looking to add more partners to the page. So if you want to feature your NGO or humanitarian enterprise, or if you happen to work for a UN Global Compact member organization, please feel free to contact me. I can add your logo, website, description to our next Tea Diplomacy Eventbrite page. Please also see, for example, the most recent Tea Diplomacy event that we did on Saturday, May 21st, which was International Tea Day and the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development. And you will see information in the chat for the days that I mentioned. So we have 3 days in the chat: International Tea Day and the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development. I will as well put the link for the upcoming Eventbrite, third UnityNet International Tea Diplomacy Initiative, Saturday, June 18th, although that link will not work yet, but it may work within the next day or two. I also mentioned for the past couple of weeks that the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Again, a worldwide event where mental health is wealth, especially during Mental Health Awareness Month, celebrated in May. So the link that I'm sharing says the stigma around mental health and treatment has long existed, even though this has started to change. Still, people hesitate to seek help or even talk about it with their loved ones for fear of being judged. So I will now share my presentation. Give me a second here to start. Oops, no, that's wrong. I need to share sound. Second here. Screen. Okay. So as always, I start the presentation by giving recognition to our supporters and sponsors, in particular Andrew Networks, the door opening network of the Global Unity Network. Our weekly Thursday Zoom calls are committed to take place through December 2023. Andrew Networks will be rebroadcasting any production-ready episodes on the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board, AHIABGA.org domain, redirected to the UCIT TV site. You'll also notice our logo indicates that this is 21 to 23 IGU Summit. We plan to continue delivering these Thursday events through the end of 2019, or 2023, sorry, in alignment with the UN Global Compact 21-23 Vision and Strategy, which you will find in the chat. On this page are the logos for Maui Aloha Project, 5 Points Youth Foundation, the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, Future Lift Foundation, Global Peace Let's Talk, the American International Education Federation, EDFU Foundation, the Conservancy Trust, the Saga Foundation, LA Global Foundation, and our own logos for the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation, the Greater Unity Network, the Indigenous Unity Flag, the Unity 4K Club, the HEPTA Matrix Partnership Template of UnityNet International, and many more. Again, in the chat, you will find many links to the organizations that we are partnered with. This includes organizations that we have some history with. So Andrew Networks donates our hosting and promotional support services. They are a brand and domain name owned by Parks TC Export Trading Company, comprising various social media channels, including TRN TV, Universal Citizens Media Networks, Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr., and many more. Andrew Williams and Andrew Networks is not only our primary sponsor, supporting the promotional ecosystem for the UnityNet initiative, this Unity or Indigenous Global Unity Summit, which continues to December 2023. But Andrew is also what we call our Yes, Yes, Yes partner, helping to open doors so that members of the network are able to discover their inner selves and passions. And where Andrew Networks is working with the people who occupy the various nodes of our global unity network, so they can come together with the people of the network, acting like a net to support the dreams of our members. We want them to leverage those passions and transform their visions of a better future for themselves and their communities into a reality that makes sense for themselves and their communities, however they might define what that better future is collectively, as they seek to work together in partnership and leave no one behind. So Andrew Networks, some links are included in the chat. Andrew also founded the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, Advocates, and Activists in September 2019, with our focus on globalizing the Sustainable Development Goals during this decade of action and delivery on the SDGs. So Andrew later appointed me as representative for Canada, La Francophonie, and the Commonwealth of Nations, originally on January 2020. I later appointed as representative for Turtle Island in early 2021. Again, in the chat are linked to the ambassador. But of course, as always, just give me a sec. Something slow here. Before we get too far, I'd like to let you know who I am. So I am Lloyd Halferty, the Chief Ecosystem Director, Program Development Director, and Sustainable Society Consultant for Energy University, headquartered in Manhattan, New York, USA. I am, however, located in the city of Markham, in the Don River watershed, in the German Mills Creek subwatershed, which drains into Lake Ontario, the lowest and last of the North American Great Lakes, in the Greater Toronto area in Southern Ontario, Canada, North America, Turtle Island. Energy University is a private 501(c)(3) nonprofit company in New York City, a member of the UN Global Compact, a United Nations Academic Impact member and partner. We are a virtual university that was created to help empower global populations to reestablish a sustainable balance with their local environments. Energime does this by designing and implementing projects that support a strong and diversified local economy, while integrating core sustainable technologies and infrastructure into the communities in the areas of renewable energy, high-density food growth solutions, along with systems for sustainably managing local waste streams and protecting local water resources. So Energime is supported by over 375 companies whose products and technologies we employ. Importantly, we also support local education and training in the construction, deployment, and maintenance of all of the various integrated solutions for achieving closed-loop systems that in turn support self-sufficient, sustainable communities. Again, in the chat, you'll find my contact information. So I'm seeing that our guest speaker may be on the call. I can continue the opening, or we can get to our presentation if he wishes to do so. Regan, did you wish for me to stop here? We have a limited time to do our presentation this week. I've been told that we must stop by 12 noon, which means I may not be able to do my whole opening presentation. If you wish to do a presentation yourself, you can do so. What do you say? Oh, looks like he may have left and now is coming back in. In the meantime, I am, as always, the co-founder and administrator of We Energy Global Corporation Turtle Island, international civil society organization. We are seeking to undertake life value peace education in the context of life learning gardens. Minister Regan Michael Cairo will be able to introduce himself and let us know if he will be able to do any presentation today. As mentioned, I was also designated as a Goodwill Ambassador for the 5 Points Youth Foundation in Los Angeles. My portfolio covers Canada, La Francophonie, the Commonwealth of Nations, and Turtle Island communities. So as a member of the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors and Activists, we're seeking to empower our communities to engage with royal, Indigenous, and tribal leadership, as well as helping local communities establish interfaith neighborhood academic and business collaboratives that will come together and pledge to support all of the local humanitarian entrepreneurs who are globalizing the global goals, starting, of course, with the Sustainable Development Goals, while we also seek ways to leave no one behind. Again, in the chat, you will find some information about the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board. So I am the co-founder of the Global Unity Network, which is being established by UnityNet International, which helped to create UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, and all of the other global groups in Asia and the Americas and Europe. So Global Unity Business Group originally came together as a coalition of small businesses in order to establish, manage, and grow the Global Unity Network, now referred mostly as UnityNet. As a result of the original Global Unity Business Group, which I had been describing as a humanitarian enterprise and global sustainable and regenerative development corporation, supporting and promoting the local delivery of open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure, set up as life learning gardens, along with a hybrid virtual learning platform that we call the VCN, or the Interchange for Peace. This is now being rebranded as UnityNet International, in alignment with our first continental chapter, UnityNet Africa and Diaspora. So the original Global Unity Business Group was created in order to formalize the ad hoc International Advisory Board process of localization of the global goals, starting with the SDGs, which is being done by the establishment of the Global Unity Network, which includes the Unity Gardens and Unity Learning Networks, along with many other dedicated UnityNet nodes and chapters, which are all important components of the network of networks, as we call it. The latest way I describe who we are is as a network of people and organizations supporting the ad hoc International Advisory Board process of localization of global goals, currently the SDGs, and the global transition to a collaborative regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. So essentially, we are creating a global empowerment network of professionals in regenerative development to support all of our members, including the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who are helping to implement the various local regenerative climate smart solutions that are required to achieve a collaborative regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. So it's important to note that the existing social media, the WhatsApp, Facebook, the LinkedIn groups that we're using right now are being used as a placeholder as we build the global network and prepare to launch, where we'll eventually get all of the people, the companies, the nodes of our network onto this Interchange for Peace VCN, where they'll be able to gain access to the tools and services that are available there, and where they can much more easily collaborate in order to locally implement all of the globally coordinated real world events, projects, enterprises, and infrastructure. So again, in the chat are links to our global Unity Business Group, now known as UnityNet International. So the Global Unity Network, now UnityNet, was also created to showcase global cooperation for the implementation of the local regenerative solutions for achieving the global goals, starting with, of course, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Our goal is to help uplift the traditionally marginalized communities that are mostly being left behind, because the existing economic paradigm is focused on making money for those who are already wealthy by extracting resources through the exploitation or over-exploitation of people and the natural world. And therefore, the majority of people on Earth are mostly being ignored by our existing highly competitive economy. So our focus is on the billions of people who exist or subsist on the economic sidelines, where we intend to start our work by helping local communities deliver the various local regenerative and climate smart enterprise solutions that people and communities in some of the least developed countries, communities, and local economies require in order to thrive. As an entry point, we are focused in particular on those communities that are the most food insecure. So again, in the chat, you'll find links to our social media. So UnityNet is promoting the delivery of a suite of practical solutions for achieving the global goals, starting with the Sustainable Development Goals. During this SDG period until 2030, we're focused on using the tools of humanitarian entrepreneurship, focusing on female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs and enterprises, FFHE as we call them, using hybrid virtual and hands-on education and training and learning programs, platforms, and curricula, with a primary focus on delivering of the various humanitarian entrepreneurship skills training in practical settings, in order the words practicum learning, along with leveraging the various open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure solutions to remotely assist local INAP collaborative teams, establish local collaborative open source Unity Garden classrooms in all of our local communities around the world. The Unity Garden classrooms are set up in collaboration with existing schools in local communities and can be used for the local and remote and virtual delivery of the practicum learning programs for all of our FFHE members, so they can learn how to grow, process, cook, market, sell, and trade the various types of regenerative climate smart food and those related nutritional and medicinal and other types of locally produced regenerative products, both within their own local communities, as well as regionally, nationally, continentally, internationally, in order to produce income and therefore greater prosperity for themselves and for the people in their own local communities. We want to do this for all people on all continents with the intention and goal of leaving no one behind. Again, in the chat, I put a link to our UnityNet Smart Cities Network. So we promote through our virtual social marketing all of the members of our network using the various practical social media networking trade tools, including those of the modern fourth industrial revolution. We're combining what we call the wisdom of crowds with the deep Indigenous knowledge of both our ancestors and the living Indigenous people of this earth in order to learn from each other about how to share the abundance of this planet, in order to create productive, regenerative, climate smart landscapes wherever we may live, in and around each of our own local communities. So our intention is also to help restore nature and biodiversity, ensure abundance for all, and ultimately restore the human connection to Mother Earth as proper stewards of our one and only human, beautiful planet. The Ad Hoc International Advisory Board process of localization of the global goals is intended to help everyone in each of their own local communities establish local teams of humanitarian entrepreneurs, as well as the local community empowerment networks, the INAP collaboratives that will provide support and ensure the success of the local cooperative humanitarian enterprises who are building those Unity Gardens. So the Unity Gardens are intended to be established in each local community across the global network, most likely starting in Africa, but also here in North America and in Asia as well. This process of establishing the local INAP collaboratives is done by taking part in the Abraham Project, where we plant the tree of peace and reconciliation and do ceremonies starting on Sunday, June 5th, World Environment Day, but continuing throughout the planting seasons locally, wherever we are. Some communities will also establish twinned trees of peace and reconciliation and twinned Unity Gardens. The twinning or thinning or quadrinning or more will be done through the CTP program, which is a process of twinning the local community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprises and also twinning the local community INAP collaboratives. So we're building a network of local INAP collaboratives where all of the members of each local community empowerment network will be interconnected and watching over and talking to each other at the global level, where each local INAP collaborative will have a diverse set of members from the 7 different sectors of the community: public, private, civil society, academic, interfaith, finance, and orange economy, the creative sector. They'll also be watching, promoting, and helping each other, supporting the local female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs in each local community, who will be empowered by all of the members of the Global Unity Network, where all the activities are also intended to be transparent to all members of the global network, including all members of the local INAP collaboratives, who will also be accountable to for the success of their own local collaborative Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise in each of their own local communities. This also means that the local female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who are living in the local community fail to be successful as they build and run their local collaborative or cooperative community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise, their business, provided they're fully dedicated to making it successful for all members of the community, especially for those who are the most marginalized in each of their own local communities. It will not be entirely on their own shoulders alone, barring, again, some unforeseen circumstances, like the insurance industry and lawyers like to call it acts of God, but rather such failure could also at least partially be put on the shoulders of the local community INAP collaborative members for not having lived up to their obligations to support and empower the local community humanitarian entrepreneurs who are building, operating, maintaining and delivering all of the various community programs, events, interventions, goods, and services that will be delivered in the context of their own local community garden humanitarian enterprise. As always, I'm suggesting as well that every community garden humanitarian enterprise should also be established as a cooperative enterprise or business, where the idea is to set up the local community business as a co-op so that the burden of running the business does not fall entirely on the shoulders of any single entrepreneur. Again, although different business models can be tried in order to determine what models might actually work best. Again, that are some links about cooperatives. The INAB collaboratives established at the local level, leveraging our unique process of community engagement. The community engagement is done initially through the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation planting ceremonies, followed by ongoing community engagement and interaction through regularly scheduled events throughout the year, including the coordinated Bubble Fun festivals and sports events, which will be done in collaboration with the local INAB collaborative members. The CTP program for twinning community activities such as community organized tree planting and local regenerative and public community infrastructure development projects and events. The Tea Diplomacy Initiative, virtual community conversations on topics like peace, regeneration, reconciliation, and forgiveness. The Dream Boards Initiative, done in collaboration with the C4 group members, along with identification of and engagement with local talent, those artists and creative people in the orange economy, for the purpose of promoting and showcasing their talent, but especially as they promote the globalization of the global goals and a collaborative regenerative economy that leaves no one behind through their art, especially during any of their periodic sunlight spectacle or other edutainment events throughout the year. And of course, any other programs or activities that may be developed in the context of the climate smart kitchens, or gardens, or forests, or the Wheel of Life farms, or the Smart Learning Centers, with these climate smart learning centers delivered by PodNet Co-op. I have reinserted this slide because for those who may not have seen this before, the local INAB collaboratives are being expanded to try to include more critical partners, including the Bridges of Hope organization from Kenya, which is focused on training of FFHEs in the various regenerative and climate smart businesses and infrastructure solutions, and possibly also BIMA International, the Black Emergency Managers Association, which would help to bring together first responders such as police, firefighters, paramedics from the local community in order to help prepare the local entrepreneurs and enterprises, potentially position their businesses as hubs for taking action during emergencies or significant incidents that may happen in the community, where we now have also included a placeholder as well for a virtual cultural exchange office of UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, established for the purpose of mutually supporting each of our own local communities, including the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs and the rest of the local INAB collaborative members, wherever it is that each of us live. Again, I put in some links in the chat. I mentioned again our Tea Diplomacy Initiative. I had once suggested that we consider doing this event during the week of solidarity with the peoples struggling against racism and racial discrimination, which was 21st to 27th of March. I had suggested we begin on Monday, March 21st, the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, which also happened to be World Poetry Day and the International Day of Forests. This did open up the possibility for us to do this virtual tea diplomacy event, including having conversations related to methods and processes of enabling and implementing solidarity with the people struggling against racism and racial discrimination, as well as discussing some of the local poets and poetry that have influenced our local cultures in each respective community, wherever participants of these virtual discussions might live. We also discussed the importance of establishing productive forests as biodiverse 3D polyculture food forests established as Unity Forest Unity Gardens in all of our local communities, managed in partnership with local Indigenous peoples and all levels of government in every local community and country, as an essential part of a process of practical reconciliation with all of the Indigenous peoples of the world, going one country, one community, and one watershed at a time. I will play for you now a poem that was played during the first Tea Diplomacy event, about 2.5 minutes long. It was read by poet Jack Black God, who's from a squatter camp called Disloop in North Johannesburg, South Africa. Before I do that, I want to put some links into the chat for you.
We are people of our own color. 7 seas and 1 big ocean. It doesn't matter how big, small, dark, light, Christian or not you are. We all come from the same origins. Origins that when we trace footprints lead us to the central heart of Africa. Because Africa should unite and nothing will bite. Instead, we will forever have peaceful nights. Africa uniting wouldn't be bad, instead you will never hurt. Trees! Allow me to be your garden at least, so that I could plant these poetical seed into your cultivative mind with harvestic thoughts of negativities. We are still enslaved by our own memories. Right now my broken, beaten bone skeleton wants to escape this flesh. My soul is rejecting this temple hospitality of one. You see, we were never told about the secret ingredients they used to cook this system. This system was cooked with a foresight and traditional pot. We were never invited into the inns of financial taste. All you did, black child, was to feast on that racism that was served to you on a silver platter, so that mahinya, 7 colors, the shininess of it could blindfold you. Your I have fought has made deals for dessert. But what about the main meal, black child? We are still enslaved by our own memories. See, once upon a time there was I reciting poems with meaningless senses and unengineered sentence language construction. Therapy of my words wounded so many innocent souls, I'm lost in translation. Tongue clicks, Ubuntu transplant, guilty to innocent endless transformations. I'm so confused in my lost thoughts. Perhaps I'm losing it, isn't it? Yes, I've been here and they've all been there, distant relatives. 300 Spartans, the rise of my ancestors to you, godly amen. The last breathless word you would inhale. We are still enslaved by our own memories, yet we are 7 seas and 1 big ocean.
So we have completed our first virtual Tea Diplomacy Initiative event that took place Monday, March 21st. During that event, we did ask leaders and other high-level decision makers to sit down virtually to have a cup of tea with some of our UnityNet members at the grassroots who are living in and doing work in the various marginalized communities around the world. The conversations that we asked our participants to discuss during those moderated virtual casual conversations between the sustainable development decision makers, professionals, and our grassroots members who are doing some of the on-the-ground work in the various local communities in the Global Unity Network were related to the 3 themes that I mentioned in the previous slide. So this event was co-hosted by Global Unity Network, now called UnityNet International, which is building the network on behalf of the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board, along with Global Forum for Sustainable Rural Development, Global Peace Let's Talk, and the AHIABGA. At this point, I also would want to play the song Tulan Lisio, but I think given the time constraints we have, I will skip over this again today, because the song is about 4.5 minutes long, and I believe we have many people that have heard this before. So in the sense of time, I will move forward to mention our partners during that tea diplomacy event, Inter Networks, WOPE, Saga Foundation, Gemma Productions, We Energen, Global Cooperation Turtle Island, Drawdown Markham, Indigenous Global Unity Network, Carbon Shot Earth, Unity Women Feminist Network, Tots and Kids South Africa, Jafo Uganda, National Federation of Women Farmers and Appropriate Technology Asia, Trilife Foundation, Soweto CSI Council, Gemma Skaters, Village Synergy, the Global Unity Business Group, Humanitarian Enterprise, together with the 5 Points Youth Foundation, EdFu Foundation, FutureLift Foundation, and Cycles of Success. I also want to mention what we are planning to do, at least the 2 more tea diplomacy events. We did the second one already on Saturday, May 21st, International Tea Day. The World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development was also on that day, which celebrates not only the richness of the world's cultures, but also the essential role of intercultural dialogue for achieving peace and sustainable development. So our next Tea Diplomacy Initiative event is coming up, as I mentioned, this 3rd event on Saturday, June 18th, Sustainable Gastronomy Day. We will partner with the Plant-Based Climate Smart Food Network and the South Markham Food Security Network locally. We encourage all nodes of our network to partner with the local food security organizations. We also want to partner with the Virtual Urban Food and Farming Network as well. So I'm gonna skip putting all of the links into the chat at this point in time, just because I'm looking at the clock. The second Tea Diplomacy event was done. We are looking at developing more partners for our 3rd event. So if you want to promote your local civil society organization, NGO, or humanitarian enterprise, please contact me so the Global Unity Network can also promote your work that you are doing to globalize the global goals within your own local community. Again, in the chat is the link to the second International Tea Diplomacy Initiative event. I'd like to mention again the collaborative events that we'd like to do in 2022 related to the activities of the Global Unity 4K Club Network and the Unity Gardens Network, and the Unity Eco Village Network, and the Unity Biodiversity Network. Include the globally coordinated Abraham Project Tree of Peace and Reconciliation Showcase Project for Global Cooperation Day, delivered locally in multiple local communities by members of the UnityNet on World Environment Day. So this is in a little over a week on Sunday, June 5th, which will allow us to begin establishing a global network of local INAB collaboratives, those interfaith, neighborhood, academic, and business collaboratives that will lead the way at the local level everywhere around the world to undertaking the various globally coordinated events that we plan to do for the rest of the year. I will put a few more links in the chat. The important event that we follow that with are the Bubble Fun Festivals. The Community Bubble Fun Festival events, along with sports events, will be designed to allow youth and families to have fun while they learn about the miraculous properties of bubbles, how bubbles can potentially allow humanity to more easily adapt and perhaps even thrive in a warming and changing global climate, especially in those areas of the world where the impacts of global warming and climate change will be felt the most severely, including here in Canada, especially in the north, in mountainous areas, and in places like sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. The dates for these globally coordinated community bubble fun festivals and sports events between August 9th, the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, which is also the International Day of Solidarity with the Struggle of Women in South Africa and Namibia, National Women's Day, or August 12th, International Youth Day, August 19th, World Humanitarian Day, where we have the opportunity to have the local bubble fun festivals on any date between August 9th and August 19th, which is really an 11-day window. So other key events taking place from Global Cooperation Day, October 4th, through the World Food Day, October 16th, include the third Ubuntu Summit virtual event on October 4th, just as we did last year. The day is also the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi and the Blessing of the Animals Day, which are both celebrated by the Catholic faith. Again, in the chat, the link to the Ubuntu Summit event from last year. The fourth event that we want to do is a global coordinated climate smart youth forum designed to allow youth and families around the world to learn about this and discuss the various regenerative climate smart agriculture and food growing solutions that support achieving SDG 2, zero hunger, and local circular regenerative economies that leave no one behind, along with learning about the climate smart food program and all the various components of the ad hoc international advisory process of globalization and global goals, and the smart virtual infrastructure, the Unity Gardens and the Interchange for Peace that allow local communities, those AHIABGA collaboratives, to gain access to all the learning programs, the information, the education, the training, the related support programs, including financial support systems that we have been promoting through the Global Unity Network. That will allow local community members and families to implement these local regenerative climate smart humanitarian infrastructure and enterprise solutions in the context of their own neighborhoods and communities, wherever they might live in the world. So our primary host for the Global Climate Smart Youth Forum event is intended to be Yelly International in Nigeria, working in partnership with UnityNet Nigeria, UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, and as many of the rest of the members of the Unity Network as possible, with those who wish to contribute. Yelly International is divided into two arms, the Youth Education and Leadership Initiative, and it's managed by Dr. Amadou Monday Amadou from UnityNet Nigeria. Again, I do put into the chat links to some of these important nodes of our network. So the optional event this year, still in the process of establishing the AHIABGA collaboratives and local teams, will be the globally coordinated community tree planting event designed to establish 3D polyculture food forests in local communities around the world. This will be done in all the local communities where any local UnityNet AHIABGA collaborative has been established, where the members of the local community partnership wish to establish a Unity Forest, Unity Garden, designed for delivering the various global Unity learning programs, such as the Tukitana EV Women Empowerment Program, or the Global Unity 4K Club Humanitarian Entrepreneurship Learning Programs for educating young people, their families, and community members about the various ways of achieving food and nutrition security goals, zero hunger, at the local level, while also implementing some of the global goals such as climate action, biodiversity action, gender equality action, clean water action, clean energy action, peace, no poverty, and other SDGs through their local community enterprises, which also aim to leave no one behind. Where the last globally coordinated Unity Forest, Unity Garden tree planting event could potentially be done during the proposed Climate Smart Youth Forum week, which will likely also include a hybrid and in-person virtual conference event. So again, in the chat, wanted to mention as well that the Unity Gardens of the UnityNet encourage co-learning and intercultural collaboration, what is called two-eyed seeing, places where children are taught that no one being is greater than the next, that we are part and parcel of the whole and equal, and each of us has a responsibility to the balance of the system, along with an understanding of that all the world's species, our bio and eco kin, have contributions to make. I want to share with you the idea in some links in the chat about two-eyed seeing, or Etwakmong guiding principle for intercultural collaboration at the websites you see on the screen and in the chat. So I want to mention again the UnityNet International Honey Project proposal for the Rusley Poverty Alleviation Pilot Projects, managed by the Rusley Institute in collaboration with Global Unity Network and the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board. The Unity Honey Project designed to demonstrate the production of certified climate smart honey produced from wildflowers grown on restored landscapes such as former mine sites or other industrial or currently degraded lands, to produce abundance and revenue from what was once wasteland. The Unity Honey Project is a bee honey harvesting project intended to support the Science for Peace CSF program, World Food Certification System, and the demonstration of PAGI payments paid to producers of certified products produced by female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs, especially in support of and in partnership with local Indigenous communities. The Unity Honey Project is designed as something potentially to be universally applied in a number of different jurisdictions, no matter what country or continent or local community. The project ties into the Abraham Project process of integrating the CTP program for twinning our local communities into the localization process that starts with the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation and the undertaking of local community ceremonies, helping to bring together people and all of the 7 local partners that establish the local INAP collaboratives in each local community, who will from that moment forward be dedicated to empowering the local FFHEs, who will work closely together with the members of the local INAP collaborative. Getting at our, as you see on the screen. I did not see our guest speaker if he's on the line. He may want to introduce himself if he wishes. We will reschedule him for another day. I will skip this video today, but I wanted to go through some additional slides that I did add very quickly. We have about 7 minutes to go. What I wanted to mention today was that we are an empowerment network, a globally connected community empowerment network, local networks. We have UNI, UnityNet International, and UNAD, which is the UnityNet Africa Diaspora, here to help all our members. We want the local cooperative humanitarian enterprises to thrive. This means the Unity Gardens that are female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs secure and develop should be supported by all of the members and organizations who are part of the local INAP collaboratives. We want people to get to the table, show up to meetings to where the decisions are being made, which is what we're doing. This is being created so we have representation for everyone at those meetings where decisions are made, especially every time there is a discussion about funding, so they will be recognized for their participation. Prophet Cox, one of our members, also Andrew, who hosts this, says, if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. So we also get the marginalized trained and empowered to go with us. This means the youth, the elders, the rural, the homeless, and the refugees. So they should be sitting themselves at the table, sharing their voice, using the language of holistic collaborative regenerative development, localized to empower the people in their own local communities, especially on behalf of others who have been marginalized. So our network allows us to disseminate information and invitations to various events so that everyone in our network has the opportunity to participate and find a seat at that table. But they must be empowered and must have the confidence and must choose to sit down at those meetings. So with the, in connection with our global objectives, there are good, simple global UnityNet values that we want to continuously promote alongside the humanitarian entrepreneurship. So life value, peace education. What I also wanted to mention, our global UnityNet members, is that we support people, our humanitarian entrepreneur members and their communities and all our relations, not the corporations or the faceless entities that lack empathetic souls. As I noted before to one of our UnityNet members, we will make this happen because the next generation of children is counting on us. We can't deny them a fulfilling life of plenty if we use up the earth for ourselves in this generation instead of thinking of them in the future. could we really be that selfish?
Well, thank you so very much, Lloyd. I do appreciate that. I'm about to end this to start the next session. I did put the link in the chat. It's for the African Youth Tourism, but we do have a new guest, Sir Bailey, who normally doesn't join us. So in our last few moments, Sir Bailey, would you like to introduce yourself before we close or not?
Hey, sorry, it took me a while to grab to the mute. Just saying good morning. I have been in the meeting before, and thank you for your hearts and efforts towards sustainability and equity all around the globe. Great work. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, Sir Bailey. We will continue supporting. We have Tuesday meetings now with Bridges of Hope that we will continue for the next few weeks at least, and we will solidify our partnership with them and make sure that that your network is also included as well.
Well, thank you everyone for attending today. As I said, I need to launch another event for the African Youth Tourism. The link is in the chat if you so choose, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so very much. I really love all of you.
Thank you, Andrew. Unfortunately, we did have a shorter event today. Next week, we will go through more information.